Hey guys, Joe with BitRaged. So we're going to look at Bitcoin here. It's setting up, the pattern is getting clearer, it's looking really good. What happened in the last video played out, and so I wanted to show you what I would look at from here to really take advantage of this move. So looking at the weekly chart, you can see we're starting to get more of a doji type candle, and it's looking like a slowdown. So from here, we could expect we either get a reversal or a continuation. Why we could expect that is based on what we had in here. So we'll look at that in a minute. But to get a reversal, I would expect to see a slowdown over, doesn't have to be 3 weeks, but over a longer period of time as we've seen here. So that's normally what you would see. So let's jump down to the daily and look at what we can see for Bitcoin from here. All right, so here we are on the daily. You can see this whole move was very impulsive, right? So if you look at this from the daily perspective, this looks like the move down. This looks like the continuation pattern to head lower. We have to keep in mind though, with this pattern, we do have the opportunity to reject off this area here. The reason for that is this is the structure we're trading. This would be outer structure, and if there was a time where we would see a reversal or a rejection, it would be there. But we have to look at it when we get there and not see that as concrete, but see that as a point to watch to see what the market does give us. So jumping down to the 4-hour here, this is where you can start to see what the market is actually giving us. So if you look at what we had a move down. This is a correction, another move down, another correction, another move down, another correction, and then the move down. Now we have this pattern here, right? So we've already had 1, 2, 3 clear continuation patterns. Whenever you have 3 continuation patterns, 3 flags to continue any run, you can expect the next structure that you get is either going to be a reversal structure or it's going to be a much bigger continuation. And that is just based on how the structure does form. So either we get a reversal structure in this area or we get the continuation pattern. At this stage, it's looking much more like the continuation, but we have to keep in mind that because we are close to outer structure here, it is possible for this to move down and then create a much larger structure here at outer structure and then see the move back to the upside. So jumping down to the 1 hour, I want to show you how I would get involved in this trade. And I had a couple questions last time asking, how would you even take that trade? And so I did want to address this. So to get involved in this trade, we were talking about the rejection here, right? We did get the close. It wasn't the cleanest retrace candle to take, but because it is at this level, at the double top area, at the high of the pattern, which is over here, right? I would be more inclined to take a position like this. So how you could get involved in it is you'd have your stop above here, and then you would take this to the downside, getting in right after this candle closed, because this is a double top area. You would not do this anytime, right? So you wouldn't do this unless there is structure or it's a double top area, a double bottom area, that kind of thing. You wouldn't just do this at any point. We could have taken this, there's about 3% within that just to here, if you managed it there and got out. So that's a decent trade. That's a decent short-term trade that happened in a couple hours. And one thing I did want to clarify with this tool is a lot of people look at this number here and it says 1.25% and they think that is the percentage. How this tool works is the risk-reward ratio. Here, I'll open it up for you. I have my risk set at 1%, right? So the risk-reward ratio shows me this is a 3-to-1. So this is 3% gained based on a 1% stop. So if we make the stop bigger, you can see my risk reward goes down. The reason for that is the position size decreases when the stop gets bigger, just to compensate for that. But in this case, we could get in with a pretty decent stop. There's about 3% in that trade. So that's a decent trade. How would you look to play this here? So how I'm looking at it is we've had the rejection at this area. The question you have to ask yourself now is, does this form the continuation to head lower? That is what it's looking like right now. But I'm always mindful, I'm keeping in mind that we could move back up for a triple top. That is a potential. Or we could move up for a triple top within the pattern and then get the sell. But right now, this is looking like that's a clear move down. This is the structure we're trading. This is going to come to the downside. So what we could get is either a triple top here, a triple top within the pattern, or we just get a flag here on the trend line, which would be very, very nice. If we did get that type of flag there, we could get in with a stop just above the flag. Just to outer structure is about 5.5% in that trade, and then all the way out to the larger pattern is about 10%. So it's a decent trade to take short. I would be interested in that. Obviously, if we get it here, we can get in with a slightly smaller stop. The risk reward changes. We then get 10% just to this pattern here, just to the low, and then about 16%. So it does change based on where we get this, but we have to be neutral and allow the market to give us what it's going to give us and then trade that accordingly. So what I'm looking for is either a triple top in this pattern, a triple top here to then sell, or a flag right here on the trend line to sell. Based on this structure, based on what we have, it is unlikely to see this just impulse out, create continuation, and then move up. It's unlikely to see that. If we're going to see that happen, we're going to see this either go up and then move down and create a descending channel. We're going to see that in order to get the move back up. It'd be very unlikely to see this based on current price action. We've had the move down. This is just creating a structure to continue that move. It'd be very unlikely to see this from here. Just impulse straight out, create continuation, and then move up. Very, very unlikely. So be patient with this. It's not unlikely and it's very common at this stage to get a much bigger pattern, and the pattern is very much evolving and changing, but it is looking very good for a short if you have the opportunity to do that. It's looking like this becomes the move down. This is just an expanding formation to then move down. And then maybe we reject here. We'll see what happens when we get there. We'll address that when that does happen. But it's looking very good for this to continue the move. To reverse, this pattern could evolve, give us a reversal structure. So what would that look like? We'd be looking at the move down. It would likely reject here or go a little bit lower, then reject, and then we get a move up, a move down, move up, move down. This is going to take a while to play out, but if this does happen and we get this structure, I'm going to be 100% taking that as a buy here on the trend line. That's going to be very, very clear, especially if we get any kind of slowdown within that. That's going to be very clear. So what we're looking for to reverse this is a descending channel, very similar to what we had in the past. So if you look at this here, you can see we had some slowdown and then an impulse to the upside. Within that, we had this descending channel, right? We're looking for a very similar pattern over here. So you can see every time we did move to the upside, the market gave us that indication that we're going to see that move to the upside. Just a simple descending channel is going to give me that indication. What happens if we don't get that and we impulse straight out, go all the way to the trend line, and then reverse? That is possible. We don't have to get the picture perfect setup. And so if we do go all the way to the trend line and then just reverse, what I'm looking for to take that is a very similar pattern here. When we got to outer structure here, we got an ascending channel. It was very, very small. It was just on the 1 hour we got this pattern. I'm looking for that the reverse of that, a descending channel in this fashion, a very small one. Either that, or we get some rejection candles like this and a retrace. So a high test candle, maybe a couple high test candles, a doji, something like that, and then a retracement candle like this, the reverse of that down here at the trend line. So I would not be surprised at all if this broke the trend line either. So if we do get here and it breaks the trend line and then comes straight back through, that is going to be even higher probability, because what happens is it breaks the trend line, gets everybody thinking this is going short, it retraces, gets everybody caught on the wrong side. So I would be aware of that. The question we don't know at this point is how price is going to react once we break this low. This is pretty much uncharted territory this year. There is a lot of fear around this 5,800, 6,000 level for some reason. So if we do break it, there is the potential to get a huge sell-off simply because we have a ton of fear with that level. So we have to play it accordingly, make sure we're managing our trades accordingly, and be patient with the structure. This is where you're going to learn a lot. You don't learn anything in moves like this or big impulsive moves like these. You don't learn anything. This is where you learn a lot about how the market does move. So you should be really excited for this, excited for these times. Make sure you're learning as much as possible. So I did want to mention a couple targets here. Got a comment last time asking if we do that. So for a target, it depends on when we get there, because this trend line is sloping, right? But we're looking right in the 5,300 area down here. 5,300, 5,400, potentially even 52. So 52 to 5,400, depending on when we get to this structure, is going to be the area that I would watch for a potential reversal. Now, obviously, like I said, we don't know how this is going to react once we break the low. This could accelerate, but we don't know that to be the case. So we have to trade it accordingly, but that is where I'm looking currently. That is what the structure is giving me. So I hope this helps you out. Hopefully this gives you a lot of detail, a lot of insight into how I would look at it, what I'm looking for to see this either reverse or continue the move. Appreciate you sticking with us, watching the video. Take care now.